Well, uh, in the year 2006, I was caught in a situation where I was a victim of violence. And it was amazing because, here I am in church, faithful in church, paying my tithes, serving God. And here I am in a situation caught in a situation that's like tragic. But I'm smiling about it now because I got a lot to smile about because I'm still here. There was a young man who was on one of my caseloads that I actually saw be emancipated out of the program. He was emancipated out of the program. He was 18 years old, 19 years old. He was doing really well, and I walked into like a CVS or a Walgreens or some type of drugstore, and he was working behind the cash register. I was so glad to see him, and I said, man, it's good to see you doing well. You got a job. Looked like he was doing well, so I told him if you ever needed somebody and needed some help, please, here's my information, here's my number, you call me. So he actually took advantage of that, and one day I was in the studio working on my first album, and I got a phone call while I was in the studio, and it was this young man, and he said, hey, Mr. Simpson, is there any way that you can pick me up and drop me off at a location? And it was a simple task, and I told him, well, yeah, there was no problem. I can make sure I do that. He told me where he needed to go and ended up driving to a location, which was a rural area. It was the area that had graffiti all over the wall, and I knew right off the bat that it was a, drug and gang infested environment. Went to, when we arrived at the place, I realized that he didn't want to get out the car, so we didn't get a chance to, go back and forth about it, but he was just kind of hesitant about getting out. So by the time I told him I really need to go, before I can tell him again, he did eventually got out because he saw his partner, whoever it was, that came out the alley, dressed in a red t-shirt, and black khaki pants, and came out the alley, and they both stopped right in front of my vehicle. When they stopped in front of the vehicle, I couldn't really drive off and leave because it was right there, and so the young man that I knew eventually just vanished. They did some exchange with their hands, and they must exchange drugs or whatever. But the shocking part of this situation was the young man that I did not know came around to the side of the vehicle when the young man I didn't know vanished and left. But the young man came around the side of the vehicle, and I pulled my window down and I said, yes, sir. And he said, well, so-and-so said that you have the rest of the money. And I knew right then and there that it was a setup. It was absolutely a setup. And I said, man, all I know is the Holy Spirit immediately told me to get out of this situation as fast as I could. And I just pressed on the accelerator of the car. And then I looked in my side view mirror and I saw the young man pull out a gun. When he pulled out the gun, I heard gunshots flying all around me, and all I could do was kind of like duck my head a little bit and just pray that, everything, I got out safe. I just wanted to get out of there. But unfortunately, there was one bullet that actually had my name on it. It went through my back car window. It shattered my back car window. And that one bullet came down and penetrated me right in the back. And it was amazing because at that time when it was happening, I did not even know that I was hit. All I knew is that I couldn't sit back while I was driving. And I said, well, why can't I sit back? When I put my hand towards my back and I felt something was really wet. It was a wet substance, and I said I didn't even want to look at my hand because I was like, oh my God, I knew exactly what happened. I said, oh my God, I was hit. It was a uneasy feeling. It felt like somebody was pinching you really, really, really hard. It's like, why are you? It was just very uncomfortable. So I knew I was hit because I was just wet in my back of my shirt, and I said, oh God, I gotta get out of this situation. I got to leave, and I gotta find a place of safety, a place of help. My vision was beginning to get a little blurry. My hearing was fading away. It was almost felt like you was underwater. People are talking underwater. You can't really make out what they were saying, but it was like that kind of sound. By now, I'm losing so much blood. I'm driving like crazy, like a drunk man and on the sidewalks and crazy, trying to find a place of safety, a place to be helped. So when I finally got to the emergency room, I thought I can walk in. I just blew the horn, just to get some medical assistance. So I blew the horn, and when I tried to open the door and I walked out, I just fell straight to the ground because all my strength was gone. I'm shot, please help. And that's all I keep saying. I kept saying, please help me, y'all, please help me. My breathing began to get real heavy and very shallow, and and they just kept talking to me, kept talking to me. They wanted to keep me very conscious. They didn't want me to go under, because, you know, if I would have went under, God knows what would happen. I probably wouldn't have came back. I would have lost consciousness and not have returned. They said, well, unfortunately, we cannot help you. Woo! Because we was a children's hospital. We're mandated by law only to serve children 18 and under. So when they said that, I just thought this was the end. This is it. I'm not gonna be able to see my son anymore, and I'm not gonna be able to see anything. And by this time, the only thing I was thinking about was my children, was my son. I had just adopted a son. His name was CJ. And I was like, oh God, this is not fair, because, you know, the devil is just trying to make him orphan again. This is not even cool. They said, can we transport you to an adult hospital? I was like, oh my God, yes. I don't care how you get me there. Just get me there. You know, it's almost like that situation, like when you need help and you need to be rescued, you just want to get to that place of safety, that place that can keep you safe. And I said yes. So the paramedics came, they transported me to that location. When they got me there, they rushed me there, almost like what you see on TV, ER, and they running down the hall with me with, you know, oxygen and everything. And when they got me there, all I knew at this time is everything. Start reading my stats, you know, African-American male. At that time, I was like 28 years old, and everything just kind of went black. I saw a white light. I must have went right into surgery, white light, and everything at that time just faded black.
Once I got off the plane to the airport, you know, a close family member told me that my dad got into a situation where he was in the hospital and he was in the emergency room and everything like that, and I just broke down and cried, you know. I felt like I was gonna be an orphan again, you know. That's the only thing I could think about, like, and I was just so afraid. Like, I usually don't cry like that, and I was really torn apart, you know, at the airport, and I just couldn't think straight. And we went straight to the hospital, and I just couldn't bear to see him laying on the bed like that, all the tubes in him and everything like that. So, you know, it was an emotional roller coaster for me at that time.
The doctors and everybody told me I was on life support, almost like in a coma, for 3 days. Not able to breathe on my own, not able to breathe and survive on my own. And the machine was breathing for me. And I was in a bad shape. Now listen, what they told me is that I was hit with a .22. Now, if you know anything about a .22, it does not go right through you like most bullets do. It ricocheted through my body. It just hit my liver, it hit my kidneys, hit my intestines. That one bullet just kept on moving around. And it just really tore me up. So they had to remove my spleen. They had to remove part of my pancreas. So they had to remove all of these things because it was just damaged. At this time, my left lungs collapsed. Had tubes through my nose, tubes through my mouth. I mean, I was just in bad shape. I had a blood transfusion because I lost so much blood. So I had to learn to walk all over again. I was bedridden for probably about 2 to 3 weeks. The doctors I was left open from my stomach because the doctor said they wanted me to heal from the inside out. They didn't even staple it, they just kept ice on everything. My blood pressure was just going crazy because when you take your pancreas out, that works with your blood, and your spleen works with your immune system. I was probably on 26 pills a day, taking pills every day. But you know, when I finally came to myself, when I was in the coma, coming to myself, I heard people praying for me. I heard people singing songs of praise around me. I just felt like angels were singing all around me while I was in this coma. I just knew in my heart, though, that I was okay. I knew that God had me covered. I knew I was going to survive. And I was a little troubled and really upset, and I asked God, I said, God, why did this happen to me? Why did you take me through this? He said, the reason why I took you through this situation is because I can trust you with tragedy. And that thing really tore me up because I was like, man, well, it's one thing to trust God, but for God to say back to us that he can trust us is another thing. And he also said, I am also preparing you and qualifying you to take you to another place in your ministry. Because he said, and son, you've been disobedient for a long time. So sometimes tragedy got to come to get your attention, because I've also called you to preach. And I'm here to encourage many of you all that are going through situation. He said, the title of my album is The Process. He said, I'm taking you through this process because that process pretty means different situations that add up to, it leads to eventually to an expected end. But he said, I must take you through a process. And so from that, a song was birthed entitled The Process.